Hi, I'm Emma Sutherland, clinical naturopath, author, mum, and podcast host. With over 20 years in clinical practice, I've helped thousands of women and their families transform their health using evidence based medicine. Now, I am deeply passionate about making science simple and actionable so that you feel confident and empowered in your health decisions. This channel is your go to for trusted insights, expert conversations, and practical tools that support real life wellness. Now, in this episode, I discuss the stats on iron deficiency and who is more at risk, the symptoms of iron deficiency, the research on the best forms of iron to supplement with, and how to dose an iron supplement to get optimal absorption. Iron deficiency anemia is a major public health problem globally. In fact, iron deficiency is the most common nutritional deficiency in the whole entire world, and it affects more than 2 billion people. Now, in Australia, around 15% of women of childbearing age and 12% of pregnant women are iron deficient. The most likely to be at risk of iron deficiency are kids, pregnant women, women with heavy periods, and vegetarians and vegans. Key symptoms to keep an eye out for are obviously fatigue, shortness of breath, pale color, compromised immunity, restless leg syndrome, molting hair, random bruising on your limbs, and brain fog. Iron in the diet comes from two forms. There's heme iron from meat and non-heme iron from plants and legumes. Now, heme iron is absorbed 4 times more easily than non-heme iron. Patients often come in to see me and they're either symptomatic of an iron deficiency or they're already taking a supplement. But my first step is to always look at food and work on how to optimize diet with iron rich foods. Food is medicine and diet must come before supplementation. So once you have increased dietary iron, you can then move on, if you need, to choose the correct iron supplement. Iron supplementation is extremely confusing, as forms such as ferrous fumarate or ferrous sulfate are poorly absorbed, which is why they're used at high doses such as 150 to 300 milligrams per day. For example, I know Ferrograd has 325 milligrams of ferrous sulfate. Multifer has 370 milligrams of iron polymaltose. But those come with some gastrointestinal side effects like constipation and nausea. Ferrograd does tend to give more side effects than Multifer, but they can be problematic. So when looking for the best form of iron, what do you need to know? I like to look at the research, so let's take a bit of a deep dive. In a randomized double-blind study on children with iron deficiency, half were given iron bisglycinate and the other half iron polymaltose. In the kids given iron bisglycinate, their ferritin, which is their iron stores, went from 21 to 37, while the iron polymaltose group went from 25 to 34. Now, it may not sound like a lot of difference, but clinically, this would absolutely be noticeable, and you would see this as an improvement in the child's well-being. In this study, the researchers also observed a significant increase in a marker called MCH in the iron bisglycinate group, but not in the iron polymaltase group. MCH is the average amount of hemoglobin inside each red blood cell. The more hemoglobin, the more oxygen that's delivered to the cells, which means more energy. You're going to feel better for that increase. In another study on kids with iron deficiency anemia, half the kids were given a form of iron called ferrous sulfate and the other half iron bisglycinate for 28 days. Both groups had better hemoglobin at the end of the month, but the kids taking iron bisglycinate had a significant increase in ferritin. Don't forget that's the iron stores. Now, the researchers calculated the bioavailability of both forms of iron, and it was 26.7% for the ferrous sulfate and 90.9% for the iron bisglycinate. Massive difference there. Several studies show that iron bisglycinate has higher bioavailability. So it's better absorbed. It's got a higher efficiency in increasing hemoglobin and ferritin levels. And therefore, it's better when you're trying to treat iron deficiency anemia compared to ferrous sulfate or any of the other forms of iron. So if your child has low ferritin or low iron, then iron bisglycinate would be more effective. But you also need to know when and how to take an iron supplement properly. So this can be the difference between remaining anemic and becoming iron sufficient. I told you this stuff is complex and never as easy as it seems. Here's my tips for increasing absorption of the iron that you are supplementing with. This is absolutely critical here. A 2020 study on iron depleted women demonstrated that having a dosing schedule of taking iron every second day is actually more effective than taking iron daily. So this is counterintuitive, but it's because when you take iron, a compound called hepcidin increases, and this actually decreases the level of iron you absorb from your gut. Plus, it reduces the release of iron from storage. So this is a negative feedback loop that we have that ensures we don't end up with iron overload. So if you take iron daily, the hepcidin will block absorption of iron. So the research has stated that hepcidin remains elevated for 24 hours. By taking your iron every second day, the hepcidins come back down and you'll more efficiently absorb the iron that you take. My next recommendation is to eat vitamin C rich foods with foods high in iron. So a meal that contains 25 milligrams of vitamin C may as much as double the absorption of plant food iron from that meal. A really good one there to combine those foods. Next is add acidic dressings like lemon, apple cider vinegar to iron-rich foods, great on a salad dressing. Eat bitter green vegetables before or during the meal to increase the flow of your stomach acid to increase the absorption of that dietary iron. There you have it. There's a lot of caveats. There's a lot of things to really think about when supplementing with iron. I put all the study links in the show notes below. So please do your own due diligence and have a look at the research. I hope this has been super helpful. One last thing before you go, please subscribe to my channel. It really helps in reaching other people with this information. So the more people we help, the more happy I am. Thank you so much.